of the things that's been a game changer for me and really has been the thing that's taken my business from the ground floor to the point where I've got so many guys has absolutely nothing to do with DJing.
This is Wedding DJ School. I'm Josh Mitchell, your guide to the business of a wedding DJ. We're talking with leaders in the wedding entertainment industry. You're going to learn their backstories, how they got started, and where they are today. We're headed to California to talk to Joe Scharnweber. His company is called Diamond Entertainment, and he went full-time in 2017. Joe's company is different. He blends live music, guitar, singing, even the drum kit, with the variety that a mobile DJ can bring. Joe studied music therapy at the University of Iowa, which is where we'll start our conversation in just a second. His passion for music led him to being a DJ. In California, he learned how to get booked by top-notch venues and serve couples with excellent entertainment. In this episode, we talk about the early days of Joe's DJing, everything from using iTunes when he first started off, and how his journey through personal and physical development has allowed him to grow a business. You're going to enjoy listening to Joe because he talks about some of the aspects outside of DJing that allow him to be a great business owner. Toward the end, we'll discuss automation and the business process, as well as some love for the QSC K12 speakers. We're going to start off this episode with Joe talking about his background. He tells us he grew up in Iowa, attended the University of Iowa, and through the path of becoming a music therapist, it required him to do some travel.
To become a music therapist, you have to basically do an internship to work to get certified. And there was an internship out in San Diego. Decided to come out, fell in love with San Diego the whole time during college, high school, middle school, DJing, never with really any like purpose behind it, but just to make some extra beer money while in college, that sort of thing. And once I got out to here, started it up again during internship because the internship was unpaid just to make a little extra money. And after I finished the internship, I worked at a psych hospital and kind of realized I probably wasn't going to do too well. Making ends meet was going to be a real pain in the butt. And so I decided to take the business full time in November of 2017. To this point, I've done that first kind of year-ish I did like 17 events. Next year I did 37. This year for myself, I've booked I think a little over 40, and now actually have a couple guys under me. One is actually doing his first event this Saturday while I'm doing another wedding. So kind of becoming a multi-op, kind of got to a point where it's more of like I need to be at two places at once and can't do it, unfortunately. So yeah, it's basically where I'm at.
Awesome. So the company where you work right now, that's full time, and you're working towards like a multi-op situation. So just tell me a little bit more about how that works specifically.
So right now, it's kind of everything it's most of my day is just trying to figure all that out, to be honest with you. I originally back in December of last year had a guy that I, kind of he didn't want to call him an employee or a contractor, but just had him like pick up a couple of gigs for me for friends that just said, like, hey, we'd love for you to DJ, but unfortunately I would already been booked for other things. Long story short, as most of the DJs who probably listening to this know, is, if you don't have the structure set for something, it's not going to work real well. And the gigs this guy did, he did awesome. He did great, but that kind of fell apart. But it kind of taught me I needed to kind of restructure how I hired on people and how I contracted out to people. Everybody that works for me is a contractor. I hopefully am never going to be in the position where I've actually got employees under me just because of the different things that are going to go into it. And with California, now out here in the Uber and Lyft, like their contract workers it looks like going to be employees maybe in the next year. I don't even want to even think about that realm. Hopefully it stays contractor work. But anyways, now what I'm doing is just basically trying to hire people on as contractors to work weddings for me, but more or less like empowering them to do their own thing. So I don't imagine any of these guys staying on with me for more than maybe 2 or 3 years before I've taught them enough to basically have them spread their wings, fly away and do their own thing, just because I just don't see it being sustainable having somebody on for, 10 to 20 years when they are able to see kind of behind the the curtain and see how everything runs. And I'm more than happy to show the guys that and hopefully have them do their own thing eventually. And then we can, refer work to each other in the future and have that kind of relationship.
Now, one of the takeaways I just want to highlight here for our listeners who might just be first starting off is like already just from your story, we can kind of extract a couple key lessons or couple takeaways that I'm noticing. One is, kind of jump in there. And if there's a job right now that you're doing that you hate, and on the other hand, you have this love of being able to do events and DJing, like you can make it happen if you go in that direction. The other thing to encourage people is, if just because you work for a multi-op or for somebody else's business doesn't necessarily mean that you can't have your own business one day. In fact, there's people that want to help you to succeed and want to help you to kind of learn systems and processes, and you can work with somebody else for a season. It might not be for as big of a pay as you'd like, but you can learn the process. You can learn how to do it the right way and still get paid, but you've got those connections and you've got that knowledge base. So already from the offset, we've already got a ton of great lessons that you're teaching us. So would you add to that at all, or any additional items there?
Yeah, to be honest with you, a good story about how I kind of decided to go full time. Is super funny out here, and I kind of want to tie this in because, to be honest with you, and most people listening, a lot of the lessons that are taught on these DJ podcasts are fairly the same. But one of the things that's been a game changer for me, and really has been the thing that's taken my business from the ground floor to the point where I've got so many guys, has absolutely nothing to do with DJing. It more or less has to do with my physical well-being and my mental well-being. That has nothing to do with DJ. Where basically, being out in California, there's so many different sort of like personal development things that go on. It's just crazy. And one of the things that I pay an absurd amount of money a month for is a CrossFit gym membership out here. And one of the things that keeps me physically fit, but it also has given me connects to these entrepreneurs that do personal development. And actually how I ended up quitting my job, or quitting my music therapy job, was I had gone to a personal development like retreat in San Diego with this guy. His name's Jim Simcoe. You guys should all check him out. He's an awesome dude. And he basically had some speakers come in, and this one gal, her name's Samantha Skelly. She does intuitive eating for basically like anybody that has like any sort of like eating trauma, that sort of thing. She kind of challenged me and said, like, it sounds like you're ready to leave. It sounds like you're ready to do this. You just need to make the leap and do it. It's going to be scary, but in the long run, you're going to be happy. You're going to be, healthy. You're going to feel better. And I literally, probably not the best way to do this, but I texted my boss and told her like, hey, Mary, I love you to death, but like, I think and I know that this isn't right for me. And, ended up making that leap. And, I want to let everybody know that it's not all sunshine and rainbows. There's a lot of, it kind of comes off along that at social media from a lot of DJs and other people that it's going to be the easiest thing ever. And to be honest with you guys, the first year I only did 17 events, like I said, and I went $15,000 into debt. And, it's just something where I needed to buy equipment because I had sold all of it moving out here, and needed to basically get connects and, buy different programs, and just kind of figure everything out here and how to take it to the next level. Because before this, I had just been, it's actually super funny. Before I moved out here, I basically DJ'd off Apple Music and iTunes. Like, I had no idea people had like wedding DJs had turntables. I thought that was just like a club DJ thing. And that just blew my mind when I moved out here. So there was so much learning I had to do in that first year. It was so hard. But if you're willing to put the time in, the work in, the effort in, it's something that, you can really achieve, whatever you want in this industry. It's I think, probably for people listening to this podcast, if you're listening to this, you're already one of those people that are a high achiever and a hard worker and really want to get after it. And just that aspect about yourself is something that's going to put you in front of the other, probably, I would say 80 to 90% of the DJs that are in your market. And it's just that thing that has put me in front of everybody else and put me in front of people that have been out here for decades and have so many connects. But the fact that I'm willing to work my butt off compared to everybody else out here is something that it's invaluable. And it's something that you guys listening to this podcast definitely have. And I congratulate yourselves for that, and really just kind of lean into that and kind of see how far you can take this thing.
Yeah, and again, so many great insights that we can pull out of that right there. Like, people notice your personality, they notice your drive, they notice your willingness to want to go above and beyond. And so many people think that you've got to have the right combination of experiences, and I've got to be in business for so many amount of years, and I've got to have all this correct equipment and know how to do it the right way. And those are really just excuses that you kind of have to push through, because when we talk to the people that are killing it right now, people that are doing great in their life and in their business, one of the threads that we notice is this idea of personal motivation and just for yourself. You motivate yourself, you discipline yourself, you get it done, not because a boss told you, not because somebody else is instructing you to do something, but because it's you kind of leading yourself. And we've talked about that in previous episodes. And I even remember in another interview that we did recently, somebody said, so important to hire a DJ that has the right kind of experience as opposed to one that has the wrong kind of experience. If you've been in the business for 30 years, but you've been doing it wrong for 30 years, guess what? You're going to hire that wrong habit pretty much guaranteed to show up at the wedding. So, encouragement to other people, even if you haven't been doing this for that long, get in there, get in the arena, start doing it. And the other thing that I resonated with as you were speaking was this idea of DJing out of iTunes or Apple Music. That's what I did as well. I remember being under an Easy Up at a party, and I had one laptop and another laptop, both running iTunes. And I had a mixer, and I would go in between the two. That's how I was able to kind of get them to overlap and sync up. So you work with what you have.
The greatest day of my life was when I was DJing my best friend's wedding, or my best friend's brother's wedding, when I was 15. And the best man comes up to me and goes, "Hey dude, do you know like iTunes has like a crossfader like setting in there?" And I was like, "Holy cow, like I don't even have to do this anymore. Like this is all automatic. This is awesome." And it's super, super funny. But one of the things I want to say about experience, I hear that a lot from other DJs too, which is like, I don't have the right experience. I haven't been doing this, blah, blah, blah. But one of the things that I truly believe in life is that every single thing that you do, no matter like if it makes 0 sense, will feed into like your DJ abilities, experiences and stuff. Where like at one point I sold organic vending machines, like at a sales job. And that it makes like no really connection with DJing at all. But that has helped me kind of sell people. It's helped me talk to people on the phone. Or it's basically every experience that you've had in your life is just equals what you are as a person. And as long as you can kind of see and take the good points out of that and turn that into your DJing or into selling your services or into marketing yourself, that's a win in my book.
Yeah, you just, there's so many multifaceted sections of what it is to be a DJ and a wedding DJ that you've got to be able to kind of wear different hats and think through different lenses. And it's not for the weak. Being a wedding DJ or an entertainer like this is not for somebody that really can't juggle multiple things like that, because you've got to be able to, whether you're a single operation DJ or a multi-operation DJ with multiple people working with you. I do want to talk a little bit about what makes your business unique and kind of how you combine live music with your services. Tell us how you got to that point and how you're different than just another regular DJ.
So, like I had said previously, I went to school to study music therapy, and I've been playing guitar and singing for, 15 plus years now. And one of the things that really separates us from other DJs out here, for some couples that we run into, is the fact that one of the things that we do is provide live music, either for the ceremony or for cocktail hours. So the two other DJs that I'm currently kind of on staff, quote unquote, both are guitar singers. One of them writes top 40 music for like country, and the other one, basically his whole job other than DJing is just going around playing solo gigs. So we kind of sit on this thread of like live entertainment plus DJ mixed for a price that's not going to be like a band and a DJ. And so hopefully we kind of tell our couples it'll kind of give you that live music element that a lot of people love and really enjoy. But then also have your DJ where you can basically play any single song you want, which is sometimes what couples run into. We had actually the couple that my DJ Ricardo's DJing on Saturday for. the band that he had hired before, this other couple, they had fallen through because basically the couple wanted like 30 songs. They requested 30 songs and the band couldn't learn all those songs in that time frame. So the band just basically bailed like 3 weeks ago. And so then basically I just sold them on the fact that, hey, Ricardo can do this and he can play and sing at your cocktail hour and he can also DJ, MC your reception. So that's kind of the big thing. My big thing is I do instrumental guitar music for the ceremony, for the ceremony, mostly for the seating. You can see some videos on that on my website. But basically you can think of it as like a Tommy Emmanuel, if anybody knows that guy. And if not, you should look him up, style where I'm playing the accompaniment as well as like the voice all on the same kind of instrument. So it's really nice for ceremonies because it allows kind of this musical space to be set with the, the song that everybody knows, but still allows them to chat with each other and not have to fight over that like vocal space with vocal music.
I'm just inspired how you didn't see being a live musician as incompatible with being a DJ. Like, tell me about that.
I think the big thing, and this is what I learned during that personal development weekend, was that, like I said before, everything that you do is like a summation of like what you could almost like sell to people for, if that makes any sort of sense, where it's like, like one of the things that I do on the side a little bit, if anybody ever wants this or like needs help and is like, help people market or like build a website or something like that, where it's like, I've learned to do this over my lifetime. So there's like no reason you should sell it. And then for wedding DJ and MC and ceremony stuff, like if it falls into that category, that's just like bonus points. It makes it like even better to be able to sell and like to offer your couples to make their day even better.
Awesome. I love it. And I think that I'm a musician as well. I don't think that I am. But for me, the thing that came to mind right away when I saw you doing what you do is I was like, man, how do you stay focused? And I'm just curious how you would answer this. How do you stay focused in that space where you've got to supply kind of the live aspect of music, but you're also setting up equipment and you're getting songs queued up on the computer? Like, how do you manage that tension between the two?
Oh man, I tell you what, that's another big thing that's going to help the jump from kind of the 17 to, I think I'm going to hit probably 60 or 70 this year, but events. But I would say just like as many different just prep materials as possible. Like I've got like 2 checklists that I run beforehand. I've got like a master sheet. I've got like a backup on Spotify, on my laptop, on my phone, and then just kind of mentally try to go through and even kind of play the guitar as I'm practicing, thinking to myself like, okay, this is what I'm going to be playing. And then this is how we transition. And the nice way that the benefit of me doing the instrumental guitar the way that I do is typically I just do it up to the bridal party entrances. So that way it's a pretty easy transition. It's not like I'm playing like a song, then I'm cueing another song, and then I'm playing guitar for another song, and then back and forth. I tend to kind of steer couples away from that just to make it a little easier on myself. However, if somebody wants to hear Here Comes the Bride, even though that seems like it's kind of dying out here in San Diego, I can play that as well.
So what, okay, I want to go back a little bit in time, and I want to talk about your first wedding. You mentioned you were 15. Was there one before that? Tell me, what I want to extract is, what were some of the key lessons that you learned when you first got into this?
Oh man, to be honest with you, it's probably so long ago that I don't really remember. And I think it's so interesting, the fact that like back then, life's so different. And like I didn't really have the mindset of like even trying to learn from the situation, where like one of the weddings that I did for a family friend, I actually said, this is probably like my second or third wedding. I said this is in Iowa as well. I said the bride's last name instead of the groom's last name. And I still get like shit for that from like for forever and ever. But I can tell you like the first one out here that I remember really well is one of the big things I just took away from it and has been a great thing for me is at least out here, I don't know for everybody else, but a lot of the venues out here are very preferred vendor focused, or like they've got a preferred vendor list where these people have been on there forever and you're not going to get there. Like one of the things I started and spent way too much money on is going around to all the venues around town and like dropping stuff off, and which is so dumb because they hadn't even seen me DJ. So why would they even, it never, you know, it just didn't make any sense. But, one of the things that's been big for me, and I learned on that first wedding, is other vendor relationships. Like there's a gal, a photographer that I work with that refers me all the time to stuff. And it's just based off that first relationship we had on that wedding. So it's almost, if you have any more bandwidth during your wedding, as you know, as you're doing it, try to make as many vendor friends as possible, but also try to help people as well. Like, there's a local catering company that does like seating and stuff. And I have probably undiagnosed ADHD. I don't like to sit well, as probably many DJs that listen to this kind of have the same, or live in the same vein. But, one of the weddings I did, I helped a DJ move a bunch of, or not DJ, excuse me, a vendor caterer move a bunch of chairs from the ceremony to the reception. And, didn't even think about it. Like, not that big of a deal. Just like, I kind of wanted to keep, to be honest, it was like, we need to get things moving. The timeline's running behind, you know, kind of deal. But then what ended up happening is that he's like, hey, give me your card. Like, that was super cool of you. I'm going to refer you to like as many brides as I can now. And that's one of the catering companies that refers us all the time. So stuff like that.
That's fantastic. And there is so much overlap here with not only my own personal experience, but from what I hear from other fantastic DJs, which is important because you always have to vet what you are listening to, like the advice that you're getting through who are these people? What have they actually done out there? Like, do they have a track record and are they kind of validated from other people? Because anybody can say, oh, I'm a great DJ. But it's when other people start to recommend you and refer you. But what you said is so, it just blows me away. You've got to make these relationships with the vendors. This is a theme that when we talk to other DJs that are high performers, that have fantastic businesses, that are really doing it the right way, all of them kind of share in this delight. Like, it's not even a chore. It's a delight in helping the other vendors succeed. It's a mindset. It's an attitude. And to hear, you know, you're helping them with chairs. Yes, more of that. That is what it means to be a professional in this business. And, you know, if you're going to cross your arms and say, oh, well, I'm the DJ, I don't need to help with that kind of stuff, you're not going to be working long, and you're probably not going to be able to charge higher rates. It's just a fact in this business. Those that are really humble and take the time to get to know other people, especially those vendors, that's then how you get more business. So it seems counterintuitive. People think you've got to impress the bride or the groom or the parents. It's like, no, you need to impress the other vendors that are there. Like, the stakes are high the moment that you walk into the venue.
It's super interesting. I have another DJ friend who goes to the CrossFit gym with me, but he told me, I can't remember exactly what it called, but it was this like hypothesis he has about like how it's pretty rare, at least out here, to get referrals from a bride and groom if they're going to be at the person's actual wedding, because it's almost like they're too close to let's say this couple gets married. You do an awesome job. Just slam it, kill it. You do so good. 5-star review, but they're not really likely to recommend your services to, let's say, their bridesmaids or their groomsmen, because more than likely they're going to be at the wedding. And if you don't absolutely slam it, then it's going to look bad on the original couple. And that's not saying, you know, like this, I of course get referrals from couples all the times, but when I first started, I was that way too, where I was very focused on the couples. Like, if I make mom and dad happy, if I make the couples happy, I'm going to work forever and ever and ever. But it doesn't really seem like that's brought me the most business, other than actually what's brought me the most business, which is actually just talking with vendors, building relationships. Also, one of the big things I do is send out like vendor cards, vendor gifts. Just say, like, I sent out a couple like edible arrangements, which cost me maybe like $30-$40, and literally just said, hey, I appreciate you so much for sending me all this business this year. I love working with you. And then, you know, put a little personal note like, hey, congratulations also on your engagement, that sort of thing. Something that keeps you plugged in, but also show like you really appreciate these vendors who are helping you out, basically.
Fantastic. Great takeaways here. A lot of amazing lessons to learn from really a lot of collective years. And I mean, when the fact that I'm noticing that your comments and the stuff that you do is right in line with other people that have been in the business for 20 years, 30 years, and in that range, like it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter where you think you are in the spectrum. These are the habits of the high performing professional. And you just start to notice trends across the line. So it's a really great takeaways there. I have a question for you about pet peeves. When it comes to DJing, what are some of your pet peeves that you notice in other DJs, or just things that kind of rub you the wrong way, and followed up with kind of what's your solution and how do you approach it differently?
Pet peeves would be kind of to go on the fitness wellness kind of side of it too, is a lot of DJs that kind of just maybe sit down for the whole event, that don't look super engaged, that maybe have like a leader of like a monster sitting next to them, just like, just not putting off the most professional look personally, but then also like from your setup standpoint as well. I think one of the things that people, I think, hire DJs to do is, as be the energy, be the life of the party. Everybody looks to you to be almost like, actually, I take that back. People look at your guests will look at two people. They'll look at the bride and the groom and how they're interacting. If they're having a great time, they're going to have a great time. But then they're also going to look at the DJ to see what his affect is like. Is he bubbly? Is he dancing around? Is he having a good time? So I think that's the really big one for me. And then probably the other one are just DJs that are lazy, in the sense that they won't like take a request, or if you ask them for a request, let's say like is on like a do not playlist, for example, from your bride and the groom, they'll just kind of be angry, upset about it, instead of just being kind and saying like, hey, Daniel and Danny said no to that song, kind of deal. That, I think that would be the main two. Maybe also just like helping, just like others, and just being, I don't know, just, actually, no, here's a good one. There's a lot of older DJs out here do this. I think the younger people don't do this too much anymore, but it's just kind of hot dog the microphone, make the wedding about them and not the couple. And where a lot of times, like when I'll go to weddings out here, I'll just like want to yell at the DJ, like, get out of the way. This isn't your wedding, kind of deal, where it's too much hot dog, not enough about the couple. It makes it kind of sad, to be honest.
Got another kind of rapid fire question for you. What's one area that you would not skimp when it comes to equipment or just, expenses?
I would say just a good pair of speakers. Are you asking for somebody that's starting out?
In general, I mean, like if somebody is about to skimp on something, like what should it not be?
Definitely for me, it's speakers. One of the things I spent a good amount of money on when I started were or restarted out here, were my QSC K12s, and just something that's going to be kind of a workhorse for you in all senses, because you want something that's going to last forever, because I mean that's what you literally are, is the sound. Like, people hire you first and foremost for your sound, and if your speakers aren't powerful enough, or they can't get far enough, or just basically cover where you're looking for, you're gonna be hurting. I would think. I'm trying to think if there'd be like another one.
Quick question about your K12s. So are you still using those today?
I am still using those today for a lot of smaller events. A lot of the weddings out here are, averaging 100 and under, because some of the venues out here are, 50 freaking K to rent out. So people don't want to spend a lot of money on feeding more guests and bringing more guests to the wedding. So they've been great for me for 100 and under. Sometimes I'll do corporate stuff and I'll bring just like an extra speaker or like a sub. But yeah, they've been great.
What's your main setup right now, or like what's your besides the K12s? What else do you have?
Main setup for most weddings is literally just a set of K12s that go into a DBX drive rack to kind of help with some EQ, compression, feedback suppression, that sort of thing. And then it literally goes into the world's cheapest controller, the DDJ-RB. And then actually one of the things that I've had terrible luck with, but except for microphones for some reason, I've bought 2 sets of the GTD wireless microphones that you can get off Amazon. And I tell you what, those things are freaking workhorses. If you like need to skip on something, skip on those. I've run these GTD wireless mics for forever, and I've had better luck with them than buying like some Shure ones at times. It's super weird with wireless frequencies and stuff. But then it goes to that DJRB, really, I just got a new Pro X flight case that has basically my mixer mounted in it, a little Yamaha 4-channel mixer, has a power strip in it for all the power needs, and then also has one of the big game changers for me has been the Pioneer, I can't remember exactly what it's called, but basically it's like their automated DMX system where I run Rekordbox. In Rekordbox, when you drop a song into Rekordbox, it not only will, of course, scan the song, show you the peaks, valleys, that sort of thing, BPM, key, that sort of thing, but it'll also automatically make a light show for you. And you can literally just plug, I've got that into a gig bar 2, good old gig bar 2, and then it does my entire light show, and I have zero programming I need to do. I can literally buy a song, throw it in there, Rekordbox will analyze it, make a light show for it in 5 seconds, and then I'm good for the night.
Awesome.
So that's basically it.
Yeah, so I just, again, for any newbies or people that are just getting into the game, I started my business with a pair of QSC K12s, and I still use them today, but I'm always encouraged to hear about the QSC, some love for QSCs, because they are fantastic, and they still, I've had them forever, and they still kill it. They're still great. So
I've got this funny freaking story. I did a wedding related to the K12s. I did a wedding, a DIY wedding in Rancho Santa Fe, which is highest end freaking area code out here in San Diego. And this couple, they wanted to DIY everything, and then they ended up getting this last second planner and her team, and they basically had to drive these golf carts around this property that they lived on. It's kind of almost like a farm out here. And one of the gals, I had a speaker set up for cocktail hour, QSC K12, and this girl runs the golf cart into the speaker stand and knocks the QSC speaker set up super freaking high, and just lands in probably the most awkward, dangerous way ever. And I'm oh my God, this is I'm gonna get a new speaker. I literally pop the thing up. Sounds exactly the same. Nothing wrong with it. And they're built like tanks. To be honest with you, I don't see myself ever getting rid of them. They're just the best speaker ever.
Well, and I was at Disney World recently, and there was a part of the park that they were redoing, and they didn't have the main speakers installed into the background, but there was just a pair of QSC K12s off to the side. I'm they are fantastic. And in terms of price, they're mid-range. You're not going to pay $10,000 for a pair, but you're not going to pay $100 for a pair. So it's really,
yep.
I think
it's a nice starter for a lot of people.
And and they'll last long.
It's and then the 12.2s, I've got a buddy that he got the 10-inch model, so the 10.2s, and I've messed around with those. And to be honest with you, they're great, but if you most of the time on Facebook Marketplace, I see people selling K12s all the time to get the 12.2s, and you can get a smoking deal on them. And since they're built like tanks, that as long as of course, test the sound out and make sure they sound good, they should be rock solid. You can probably get a pair for, God, probably $600, or I don't even know. You can get a good deal on them out pretty much anywhere.
Yeah, keep your eye out for them. They're definitely good. What's one goal that you're working toward, and then we'll wrap up. What's one goal that you're working toward?
Oh man, one goal I'm working toward right now is I would say pure automation, where basically right now I've got a lot of it set up, but it's a lot of hand holding for inquiries that come into my business, where I would love to have a setup where basically I'm not talking to anybody until I've got them. They're setting up a phone call with me. Just because I think with the amount of gigs that I do personally, 40 to 50 this year, it'll be something where that'll free up more time to spend prepping for events, prepping music, and most importantly, just making sure my couples for that week are going to be satisfied and loving what I provide them.
That's great. And a lesson that we can even learn from that is, even if you're not at that level yet where you're doing 50 events a year, you can work today toward automation. Automation is getting easier and easier with all the tools that are out there. You should build that in today. Start working on it.
I would say it might be one of the most important things, outside of course, DJing an event, just because of how much free time it allows you to have to continue to work on your skills, to continue to build out other marketing pieces. Where when I first started out here, I spent like when I first went full time before I had automation in, I probably spent 3 hours a day like emailing people or like trying to like figure out email sequences and stuff. And it's just automate and you'll be a happy person.
All of the links to find Joe will be posted in the description of this podcast. His website is diaent.com. I want to thank you so much for being a listener of Wedding DJ School. You can find us over at weddingdjschool.com. Also, you can text Wedding DJ to 44222. We will ask for your email address, and in return, we will send you all of the podcast action guides for season 1 of Wedding DJ School. So you can do that for free just by texting Wedding DJ to 44222. Lots of actionable advice that you can put to use right away, all for free. Well, we're going to continue talking with leaders in the wedding entertainment industry. We will be back next week with a new episode.